Step 2 to understand. I forgot where I saw this, but somebody was sending out a thought on different things, and he sent out this thought. We say, Bereshis in the beginning, Bara Lakim, Hashem created Es Hashmayim Ve'es Haaretz, including the heavens and including the earth. So what does that mean? So, you know the song Hashem is here, Hashem is there. So really, the song should be Hashem is, because let's think about this. Es Hashmayim Ve'es Haaretz is heavens and earth, which is, earth is here, heavens is there, are there, and that means that in between there, there's space. If you could bring heaven and earth together like it was in the beginning, then all you have is, that's Es Hashmayim Ve'es Haaretz. So then you can bring them together and you just have bara, you just have creation, you have matter, you have energy, and whatever scientifically everything is made out of. If you could take away bara, so you would still have Bereshis in the beginning, which means you have time. So you took away space, Hashmayim Ve'es Haaretz. You could take away matter, which is bara, creation, created. Then what do you have left? You have Bereshis in the beginning, you have time. But if you could go before Bereshis, then all of a sudden the word before doesn't exist anymore. You just have, you don't have, like in that dot of Bereshis, which is not up, not the top of the base, not the bottom of the base, not behind the base, just that dot expanding going forward. All you have is that, because before time, what do you have? You have Hashem is. Now, what's Hashem's name? Yud Kei Vav Kei. So we know that the word Shem is the same word as Sham, which means there. Shem means name, Sham is there, Shum is an evaluation. This idea of Shin and Mem is a way of classifying something, quantifying something, pointing to something. If I say, give that to Simcha, or I say, give it to that guy over there, or if I say, give it to that guy, that cool guy. So let's say we're talking about you. So all of those refer to you in different ways. Shem, it's your name. Sham, the guy over there. Shuma, the guy who has these and these characteristics. You evaluate him as that. You shot him up like that. So that means that there's different ways that you can call Hashem. Like if you're standing in a circle, as big as a circle is, you could always point to the middle. You say Hashem is Melech, he's the king. You say he's the Bayer, is the creator, the Racham, the merciful one, the Noikim, he's the Goyel, he's the redeemer, he's the Melech, he's the king, he's the Noisin Atara, the Racham Chan and Erchapayim, Rav Chesed Ve'emes. There's all different things. Shalom, Shabbos, maybe in some ways to understand the manifestation of Hashem's will on earth. So, what are you going to call Hashem? The answer is anything that refers to him. That's all a Shem, a name, a Sham, a there, a way of pointing, Shum, an evaluation. But what is Hashem? So Hashem is, really, we don't know. Because he's infinite, because he's not made out of space, he's not made out of time, he's not made out of matter, he just is. And if he could be anything that could be defined, any definition at all, he'd be finite, he'd be defined. But since he's not defined, because if he had anything to do with time, then he would not always have been, because matter can't create itself. Time, if you just have a zero, and then you have infinitely going forward in time, infinite numbers going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then you have infinite numbers, -1, -2, negative, going that way, that the numbers never started, because it just infinitely always was. The numbers will never end. So first of all, you can have no place where zero is, because there's no middle point. And second of all, if it never started and it never ended, it can't be. So for those people who say, yeah, Hashem made the world, then other people complain, no, there's evolution, things seem to have come from things. An evolutionist or anybody who knows any kind of anything will never tell you that they have the point where before there was nothing and then everything started. They have to say, well, we don't know, but that's this field of studying, or this and this field. They have different names for the possibilities of the fields of study that you'd have to study to understand what that could be. But they have to admit, even though that's not a discussion they like to have, that if there was a time where there were no rules, where there was no energy, there was no anything causing anything, then it could not have started. If it always was, then it could not have started. So it has to be a time that it wasn't. And if it wasn't, then if it just came into existence, then there has to be something that was there in whatever type of scientific name you can give it, that was there already to allow for nothing to become something that's some kind of, even if it's a mistake, random, but there has to be something to become something, because nothing is not nothing something. It's no thing. And then nothing could react and become something else. So you'd have to understand that if it always was, and it always will be, and there's a law of conservation of energy and all these things, and it always will be, then if it always was and always will be, then it's not. That seems to be so simple that it doesn't make any sense. But it makes a lot more sense, because even we're not even going to go into the discussion of evolution. Again, there's a lot to discuss. Like we said, if you can imagine something old, so Hashem could create something that's simultaneously old and as soon as he started it. Just like we can do that in our mind as soon as we start thinking about, think of a tree. There we go. How many rings are in there? Cut it down. Check. How many? That means is that old? No, it means as soon as I started thinking, was that old? But yes, perhaps Hashem is a perfect mathematician. He is. And he decided maybe he made the world with the Big Bang. Who knows? And when he exploded it, it was perfectly so that this reacted with this, reacted with that, reacted with that, and everything evolved at a perfect speed, because it is quite interesting that there's Earth, a big mush, then Earth separates from water, and then there's land, and then there's fish, birds, animals, people, and it's pretty much the order of evolution. Now, again, we don't know what Hashem did in the first 6 days of creation, because we're talking about days that didn't, the first 4 days, 3 days didn't even have sun and moon yet. So what was day and what was night? It was measured by something else. It was measured by whatever Hashem calls day and Hashem calls night. And then, just like we say that Hashem heard, he didn't hear with ears, because that means he'd be finite, so it's infinite. So Hashem has time, whatever time is for him. As time went on till it became what it is now, now things are defined by time as we know it. But what are days really? Who knows? If you think that that's a far thing to say, if you say that Vayemer Elokim means Hashem spoke, the voice box with the mouth, you're a kaifer. So obviously Vayemer Elokim is something that we don't understand, but it's a way of expression of Elokim, plural powers, Kale power, Elokim, plural powers, all powerful, infinitely powerful. He spoke, whatever speak means, that's what it means. So when we say that Hashem created the world, it's not hard. It could be that he created it with evolution, but he was a perfect mathematician. Until people came along that he gave bechira to, he gave free choice to, everything was going, and that's why there might not be as many missing links and all these different things, because he did it perfectly. It could also be that he created a world, just like Adam, we say, was created out of earth. He was created a mature adult. He had children the first day he was created. If so, that means that Hashem could have created a mature earth, just like we can do. We can think of saying, I'll start digging. Think of an earth, now start digging. Who knows what you'll find when you start digging in your mind. So Hashem created a world that is old. Just like Adam was old, the world is old. So that's not really such a problem, because the world that we deal with starts from Yom HaShishi, by Chilishman Ba'aretz, the day that Hashem created Adam. What are we saying? When's Rosh Hashanah? I didn't realize this when I was younger. Rosh Hashanah is not the day that Hashem created. It's not the first day of creation, because Rosh Hashanah is Yom Shishi, Yom HaShishi. It's the day that Hashem created Adam, and that's Hayam Tchilas Masach, the beginning of your Maisim. Tchilas Masach should be on Vayer Vayvek Yom Echad. What Tchilas Masach? It's the beginning of your. It's the chalais of the tchila of your actions on day 6. It must mean that day 6 is the beginning of the world, the Maisim in the Olam Asiyah, the world of action that we know it. What this means, I don't know. But the Torah continues from there, and that's Torah, which means Hayra, which means Myra, teacher and instructor. These instructions are what Hashem wants us to understand. Bereshis, in the beginning, Hashem made time. Bara, Hashem created. And then there was awareness, and you could say Elikim, because now we can speak about a creator. Ace, we're taught, means Aleph through Taf. Ace, Aleph through Taf, which means that now, once there's letters, then Vayemer Elikim, Hashem could say. Because before there were letters, how could Hashem express anything? What this even means, I don't know, but that's what we're taught. The first thing Hashem created was Aleph Yud, which is Lashon HaKodesh. Labetzal understood he's so creative, which you understand why words are so creative or destructive, because Hashem created Aleph Yud, Lashon HaKodesh, and then Vayemer Elikim, and Hashem spoke. So Reish in the beginning, Bar Elikim, Hashem created Ace, which are the spiritual building blocks, but there's Barav, which is creation of matter and energy and whatever building blocks we have. Hashemayim Beis Haaretz is heaven and earth, things expanding, and that's an understanding of what and where Hashem is, and the world that we're responsible to, that the Torah starts off telling us where we come in, and our service to Hashem, why that is.